overnight tragedy. Many East Texans and Louisiana residents are waking up to find destruction left behind by last night's storms. We'll take you to the scene of heartbreak for one family. Also, outage update. Trees have knocked out power to tens of thousands of East Texans. We'll show you what crews are doing to restore the lights and how long it could take. And Syria airstrikes. Missiles are unleashed following last week's deadly chemical attack on civilians. We'll hear what President Trump is saying this afternoon and what could happen next.
Local, experienced, trusted. This is KETK Live at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Daniel Pierce, and thank you very much for joining us this Saturday. Today begins what could be a week-long effort to clean up damage left behind by last night's destructive and deadly storms. Damage and outages are being reported in at least 40 East Texas cities and portions of Louisiana. A 2-year-old was killed in Bossier Parish when a tree fell onto an RV. That's the only death or injury being reported so far. The National Weather Service survey team will be out in Louisiana today and possibly parts of northeast Texas. Now the focus, if they're able to make it here, will be in the Diana area. Residents there reported seeing a possible tornado touchdown overnight. Right now, the only damage that we've heard from that area has been large trees torn down. But about 20 minutes south of Diana, the story is a little different. Images here from Gladewater along Seipert Street. As you can tell, these large trees were blocking some of the roads this morning. And video from White Oak. Crews are out with chainsaws cutting down trees and limbs that fell onto people's homes during the storms. Also in White Oak, a mobile home with part of its roof having collapsed due to the heavy winds. Now, one of the hard-hit places in the small community was at this mobile home park in White Oak. Large trees were ripped from the ground and snapped in two by the heavy winds. This one barely missing a mobile home where a family was staying. However, it landed directly on this car. Park manager at Pine Valley Mobile Community, Robin Andrews, lives near the house. She says the tornado sirens were about 5 minutes too late by the time the storm was on top of them.
Heard wind, heard something hit the house, gave it a few more minutes, and came outside, looked around. Fire department was already out here. It was already chaos. Got roofs damaged. We've actually had a tree or two fall on property.
Now, thankfully, no one was injured here, but as you can see, this power line was snapped and the grid box was busted open by fallen debris. That's similar to what's being seen across East Texas. More than 50,000 people were without power this morning. And while those numbers continue to drop, it may not be until late Sunday until power is restored. Images here of SWEPCO trucks rolling out of their base this morning. About 7,000 people within their service area were in the dark today. But along with them, crews from Upshur Rural Electric were out in full force. As you can see, they're up about 30 feet in the air repairing this bent power pole. That is knocking out electricity for hundreds of people in between Longview and Diana. Upshur Rural Electric says crews have been out repairing lines since last night.
All of our linemen went out when it was still raining, still lightning in the sky and all the thunder, and we had about 19,000 people knocked out of electricity because we live in East Texas and we love our beautiful trees, but unfortunately those beautiful trees fall whenever the wind blows.
A timetable for when power will be fully restored to those areas is still unknown. It was a heartbreaking night for a Louisiana family. At a Bossier Parish RV park, the winds were so strong they pushed this large tree on top of an RV. Inside, a 20-month-old girl, Carly Ortiz, was killed while she was sleeping. 4 other family members inside the RV were not hurt. And cleanup is underway at Emerald Plaza in Bossier City. Significant damage was done to several businesses here, and as you can see, the front portion of the plaza was ripped off by the heavy winds. Despite what's happened, the owners say they still consider themselves lucky.
Blessed, very blessed, because we started to work late last night, but we didn't. Thank God that we did get out of here. As you can see, the tornado came straight through this area and hit this whole side of the retail building, and a lot of trees are down over there as well in the mall parking lot, but we're very grateful and thankful that no one got hurt.
I'm glad that All it was a little bit of damage to the outside. We did get some water damage on the inside. It could have been a lot worse.
Nixon says they plan to rebuild, while Little says they should be back open next week. Our entire weather team was on air and on social media throughout the evening, updating you on every move that this storm system was making. Meteorologist Brian Alonzo joins us from our East Texas Storm Center with a look at the path this system took. Brian, a lot of damage in the northeast Texas as well as the Shreveport area.
Absolutely, Daniel. They got essentially a 1-2 punch, specifically in Louisiana, with some storms that occurred early in the afternoon, and then they also had some storms late last night. Let's take you through the radar loop from yesterday, and we're going to show you that we did have a couple of showers and storms, especially in the late afternoon hours across East Texas, but we were more focused on the showers and storms that were really starting to get going late in the evening hours. They started entering our area right around 9 o'clock, but as you can see, we started getting reports of some hail as well as some gusty winds. The storm system did arrive in the Tyler area right around the 10 o'clock time frame, but as you can see, as it continued to move off toward the east, toward Longview, that's when we got numerous reports of some wind damage, and we even got a report of a tornado right around the Ore City. Now, I just got off a chat with the Weather Service, and they're informing me that they didn't get a chance to head out to a storm survey today, but it looks like they're going to be trying to head out there tomorrow, so we'll update you on any of their findings. But it looks like that line of showers and storms continue to race off into Louisiana. This also created some of those thunderstorm wind gusts that you've been seeing here across parts of the area. But as far as those rainfall totals here across the area, anywhere from a few hundredths of an inch to maybe around a little over half an inch towards Mineola and down toward an inch in Nacogdoches. Now, we have our weather watchers that'll be coming up later on this evening. We're still gathering those, but we're going to be talking about why your car was dirty this morning. I'll talk about that coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Daniel?
Thank you, Brian. And we will continue to keep you updated on the outage situation and the cleanup process on our website, easttexasmatters.com. The Syria conflict continues. This afternoon, we're learning exactly what was done in a joint coalition airstrike between the U.S., the UK, and France. The Pentagon says 105 missiles were launched on 3 targets in Syria. They were a scientific research center, a chemical weapons storage facility, and a second storage facility with an important command post. This comes after last week's deadly chemical attack carried out by Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Meanwhile, this morning, President Trump declared in a tweet, "Mission accomplished." In an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council, Russia's ambassador said the U.S., France, and the UK were in violation of international law. U.S. Ambassador Haley replied with stern warnings to all whom the U.S. says are assisting the Assad regime to continue chemical warfare. As Chris Pallone shows us, she promises the strikes would not be the last if there were more chemical attacks.